let's talk about some issues in identity. And if there's so many issues in identity, and of course we could have, you could get a major in identity and still not get to the end of the subject. So I just want to raise some of the big ones, some of the ones that are most outstanding that I want you to be aware of and I want you to be able to be conversant in and able to think through and able to have an opinion about in identity. So the first one is this idea of multiple identities. Then we'll talk about how do you link all your identities together, or how is it possible to link identities together, and how does that happen in reality, that your identity on Gmail versus your identity on Facebook or whatever can all come together to make an Uber identity for you on the web. Data mining, what are people using your identity for on the web? And then finally, who owns this identity? Who owns your online identity? All right, well, let's start with the idea of multiple identities. And I really like this article that's been assigned. So you have this is a reading, and I don't want to dwell on it because it's there in the reading, and you can read about it yourself. But I do want to point out a few of the parts of this issue which I think are really kind of interesting and important. And the first one here is that your online identity can be like you or not like you. Oops, let me get back to my slide here. So when you create an identity, for example, and you all know this, right? You can go into Facebook, create a fake person, or you can go into Facebook and it's really you, but you say you like a band that you don't really like, or you like a movie that you don't really like. So online, you can mess with your identity. You can have it be as close or as far from you as possible. And the question is, to me, and I think it's a really interesting question, one to be pondered, if you go onto Facebook, or even if you're in a conversation and you say, I like, this band, Boys to Men, I like, but you don't, what does that mean? Does that mean that you want to like them, but you don't? You want other people to think you like them, but you don't? Or maybe that, you actually do like them. Whether you enjoy listening to their music or not, for all intents and purposes, you like them because you're going to be identified as somebody who likes them. You're going to get ads for their concerts. You're going to, people are going to share their music with you because you said you like them. And so I think it's a little bit, to say that there's a real you and there's a fake you, and you've made a fake you, I think that's a little bit problematic because I'm not sure that it's that easy. And again, I don't want to express an opinion on this. I don't want to say there either is or is not a real you, but I want you to think about it. And I want you to think about it more deeply than to simply say there's no such thing as the real me, or there is a real me and these other things are fake. I want you to get a little bit deeper into the issue. Okay, so let me see. I don't want to talk about all these different issues, but I do want to say this about the identity, that you have different identities possible in different places on the web. And people play with this all the time. The old saying, no one knows that you're a dog on the web, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that maybe a deeper way of looking at that is to say that your identity itself is not a single thing, or may not be a single thing. And in some cases, you express parts of your identity. In other places, you don't. And we all know this, right? We all know that when you're in class, you act like a student. When you're at a party, you act like somebody else. Or, when I'm teaching, I'm standing up in front of a class teaching, I act like someone, like one kind of person. And when I'm, out cutting wood at my yurt, I act like someone else. Or when I'm out partying with my friends, I act like a different person. But is that right? Is that the right way to think of it? Or is it the right way to think of it that I have a very rich and complex personality, and so do you? And in different contexts, different parts of that personality or that identity come out. So once again, we have a simple way of thinking about it, which is I'm different people in different contexts. Or even simpler than that, some people who say, you know what, no matter where I go, I'm exactly the same kind of person, always expressing the same thing. And there's maybe a richer or more sophisticated or more complex way to think about it, which is my identity is very sophisticated. It has a lot of nuances to it, a lot of different angles to it, and they're all me, but they come out at different times and in different places. Okay, so that's as far into the idea of multiple identities as I'll get, because the article that I've assigned to you on this subject, I think, covers it way better than I could, and I like it very much.